I want to start somewhere a little different today. Usually we dive right into the facts, the data, but the research we're looking at today, it's hitting me on a frequency that I wasn't quite prepared for. It's asking me to look at something I think I've been avoiding.
Oh, what's that?
It's the specific sensation. Okay, imagine you're standing on a mountain peak, a peak you've spent maybe 5-10 years climbing. You sacrificed weekends, you sacrificed sleep, maybe even a few relationships to get there. You've pictured this moment 1,000 times, the promotion, the project, the financial stability, whatever it was. And you finally get there, you're at the top, the air is thin, and you expect this roar of triumph, right? The cinematic swell of music, but instead, just silence.
It's not what you expected.
No, It's deafening, and it's not a peaceful silence either. It's this hollow echo where the joy should be. It's this terrifying question that just bubbles up, is this all there is? And I realized, reading through all this, I'm terrified of that silence. I feel that hollowness, and I just don't know what to do with it.
Well, first, I just want to say that what you're describing, that hollowness, that quiet dread, is so incredibly valid. And, more importantly, it is not a failure. It feels like one, though, doesn't it? Like you miscalculated something. Like you put in all the work, but the machine just didn't dispense the happiness it promised.
Exactly. It feels like a broken contract. I did the work. Where's the feeling?
But looking at the wisdom we have here, and this isn't a mistake, it's a revelation. You've hit the wall of what psychologists call the arrival fallacy.
The arrival fallacy. Okay, that sounds clinical. But it feels so personal.
Well, it is deeply personal. The arrival fallacy is, the delusion that achieving a goal will create some kind of permanent shift in your baseline happiness. But our brains, biologically, they aren't wired for happily ever after. They're wired for the pursuit. Think about dopamine. We usually call it the pleasure molecule.
Right, the reward chemical.
But that's a bit of a misconception. It's really the motivation molecule. It's all about the anticipation of the reward. So while you're climbing that mountain striving, your dopamine is firing like crazy. It's predicting a future reward. But the second you step onto the peak, the prediction is over. The dopamine drops. The engine just cuts out.
So the hollowness I'm describing is literally a chemical crash.
Partly, yes. But the Buddhist perspective takes it a step deeper, beyond just brain chemistry. They talk about
Tanta, I saw that in the notes. It translates to thirst, right?
Yes, thirst or craving. And there are different kinds. The one that really hits high achievers, people like you, people listening, is called bhavatancha. It's the craving to become. It's a thirst so deep it actually shapes our entire sense of self. We build our identities around the pursuit. I am the climber. I am the one who strives.
That hits hard. Because if I'm not the climber, if I'm not the person chasing the next big thing, then who am I? It feels like I'm losing the plot of my own movie.
Exactly. That is the ego trembling. The ego, the constructed I that says I want, I achieved. It survives on narrative tension. It needs a story, struggle, victory, identity. But here's the trap. When the story ends because you won, the ego falters. It has no enemy left to defeat.
So the hollowness is basically my ego realizing it's out of a job.
In a way, yeah. Without a next goal to chase, the ego kind of reveals its true nature. It's not a solid thing. It's like a flame that needs the wind of desire to keep burning. When the wind stops, the flame flickers. And that flickering, that scares us. We think we're dying, but we're just pausing.
There is this metaphor in the reading that really stuck with me, the clay pot. Can you unpack that? Because that felt like it explains so much.
It's such a profound image. So think about a clay pot. We value it because it holds water. We say it's a good pot if it's sturdy, if it holds a lot. But the text asks us to consider what is the true nature of the pot. Its usefulness doesn't come from the clay walls, it comes from the empty space inside.
Right. If it were just a solid block of clay, it would be a brick, useless for holding anything.
Precisely. Without that emptiness, what the Buddhists call sunyata, it has no function. And the Source makes this beautiful parallel to the human heart. We are not defined by our achievements, the clay walls, but by the space between them. The stillness, that emptiness you're feeling. That isn't a flaw, it's a feature. It's the space where meaning can actually arise.
But my whole life has trained me to fill that pot with cement, with noise, plans, validation. I am terrified of the void. I want to fill it immediately. If I finish a project on Tuesday, I need a new one by Wednesday morning because the silence, it feels like death, like stagnation.
And that fear is the ego convincing you that fullness equals fulfillment.
Yep.
But the wisdom here suggests something really radical. The emptiness after success is actually a moment of clarity. The engine of desire has stalled, the noise has dropped, you aren't broken, you're just finally seeing the space that was always there.
It's just so hard to trust that space, because if I stop running, if I just stand on the peak and look at this emptiness, what am I actually looking at?
You're looking into a mirror.
A mirror.
Yes. And the emptiness that follows success is a mirror that doesn't flatter you. It doesn't show you the triumphant hero with the medal. It reflects a stranger, someone who's tired, unmoored. And that's
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable is an understatement. It makes me want to look away, grab my phone, check my email, anything but that mirror.
And that's what we usually do. We launch Project 2.0.
Yep.
But there's a story in the texts about King Bimbisara. He was a real historical figure, ruled a vast kingdom, had every luxury, the ultimate success story.
He owned the peak.
He owned the whole mountain range. And yet he confesses to the Buddha, I have everything and my heart is restless. Now, usually when someone powerful complains, the world offers them more power, more territory. But the Buddha didn't offer him a solution. He offered him a question. He asked, what is it that you are trying to protect?
Wow.
What is it that you are trying to protect?
That cuts deep, because when I think about that, what am I protecting? My reputation. This story, I tell myself that I'm resilient and successful. Exactly. And in the modern world, we're constantly protecting an image. Think about social media. It turns success into a performance. We don't just achieve, we broadcast it. And so when the likes stop climbing or the inbox quiets down, the inner ground shakes. We feel invisible.
It's the fear of being ordinary. That's what it is. If I'm not the success, then I'm just me. And I'm afraid just me isn't enough.
And that is the core wound, the fear that without the achievement, you are nothing. But mindfulness, or sati, it invites us to shift our relationship to this feeling. Instead of escaping the numbness, we move toward intimacy with it. We ask, what hides beneath this? And often it's that deep ache, the longing to be loved just for existing, not for what you produce.
So how do you do that practically? Because my instinct is to fight it, to fix it, to find a strategy to make the hollowness go away.
The sources give us this beautiful analogy of weather. So imagine your emotions are just weather patterns. Success was the bright, blinding sun. But now, the weather has changed. Now there's fog.
And I'm trying to blow the fog away with a giant fan.
Right. You're trying to banish it with more light, more goals, more noise. But the advice here is to just sit in the fog. Notice how fog softens the edges of things. You can't see the horizon. You can only see where to place your foot for the very next step. And that is where presence lives.
That sounds terrifyingly slow. I'm used to running.
It is slow, and that's why it works.
Yeah.
There's a specific Zen practice mentioned called shikantaza. It literally translates to just sitting.
Just sitting, like meditating.
It's even simpler and harder than that. There's no goal, no technique, no, I am going to improve my focus.
Yeah.
You just sit. You realize you don't need to do anything to be worthy. You already are. It's a revolutionary act for a high achiever.
It feels rebellious to just sit there and say, I'm not earning my peep right now, and that's okay.
It disrupts the ego's entire story. And when you do that, you can start to reframe these negative emotions. Take that numbness you mentioned. We usually treat it like a sickness. But what if we reframed it as the psyche detoxing?
Detoxing from what?
From years of overstimulation, from the adrenaline of the climb. Your soul is taking a breath. Your nervous system is finally down-regulating. Or the sadness. What if that's actually grief?
Grief for what? I won.
Grief for the parts of yourself you had to abandon to get there. The playful child, the quiet dreamer, the one who liked to just stare out the window. You had to leave them at base camp to climb this high. Now, in the quiet, they're waiting for you.
That reminds me of the burned out visionary archetype, the entrepreneur who sells the company and then collapses. We call that pathology.
Society calls it pathology, but this wisdom calls it initiation. It's the soul demanding integration. It's saying, you built this beautiful house, you built the success, now for the first time, come live in it.
You built the house, now live in it. That really lands. It's like I've been constructing a mansion but sleeping in a tent on the front lawn because I'm too busy building the West Wing.
That's a perfect way to put it. And this is where the shift happens. From seeking to being. Which brings us to a concept that might sound a bit intense, but bear with me. It's a Tibetan practice called chad. It means cutting through.
Cutting through what?
Cutting through the protection of the separate self. In the traditional practice, practitioners visualize offering their own body to the demons of their fear and attachments.
Okay, that is intense. Why would you offer yourself to the demons?
It sounds scary, but it's psychological judo. What do we usually do with our demons, our fear, our imposter syndrome? We fight them. We lock them away, Chad says. Open the door, invite them to dinner, feed them.
That feels like surrender.
It is. The metaphor is about realizing that protecting your successful identity is what's causing the pain. Your success, that big win, was the final gift your ego had to give you. But it wasn't a gift to keep, it was a gift to release.
A gift to release, so I have to let go of this success to actually enjoy it.
In a sense, yes. This touches on this deep teaching that samsara and nirvana are not two separate places.
I always thought samsara was the cycle of suffering, and nirvana was, I don't know, heaven, the exit door.
That's the common understanding. But the deeper wisdom says they are the same reality, just seen through different eyes. Samsara is chasing success to fill a hole in your soul. Nirvana is resting in that success or failure without needing it to mean anything about who you are.
So it's the quality of attention, not the circumstance.
Precisely. There's this story about a monk. He spent decades seeking enlightenment, climbing mountains, sitting with masters, enduring hardships. One day, exhausted, he returns to his home village. He's walking past a field, and an old farmer just waves and greets him by name. And in that moment, the monk just bursts into tears. No fanfare, no golden light, just a greeting. He realized he had been scouring the earth for home, and he was standing in it the whole time.
He was looking for something he already had.
Success was the mountain he climbed, but enlightenment, that was the breath he took on the way up. It was the doubt, the fear, it was all sacred. He just couldn't see it because he was so focused on the peak.
That makes me feel a little lighter, actually. I've been treating this post-success silence like a war zone, like I need to battle my way out of it. But you're saying the war is over.
The war was the chasing, that silence you hear. That's the battlefield going quiet. It's not absence, it's presence.
Well, no. The door is open, the silence is here, I'm just here. What do I do?
The advice is counterintuitive for someone like you. Do not rush to fill the void. Don't mistake this pause for stagnation.
That's going to be the hardest part, not feeling like I'm stagnating. How do I know I'm not just being lazy?
Because laziness is avoidance. This is gestation. It's the shift from human doing to human being. It's moving to a place where you create things, not to prove you're worthy, but because it is your nature to create. A bird sings, a flower blooms. They aren't trying to prove anything, they just are.
So I can still work, I can still build things?
Absolutely. In fact, you might build even better things.
Yeah.
But the fuel changes. You're no longer running on the dirty fuel of, I need this to survive. You're running on the clean energy of, this wants to flow through me.
That sounds like freedom.
It is the ultimate freedom. The freedom to succeed, but not be owned by it. The freedom to fail, and not be destroyed by it.
It brings us back to that question the Buddha asked the king, what are you trying to protect? If I stop trying to protect this image of the achiever, then who is left?
That is the final inquiry, and I don't want to answer it for you. I want to leave you with it. The ultimate question to sit with in this fog.
Which is?
Who am I when nothing is left to prove?
Who am I when nothing is left to prove?
Just sit with that. Breathe into it. It's going to feel unsettling. But let it unsettle you, because the door's open now. Not to more success, but to more truth.
And the next breath is waiting. Unscripted.
Unowned. And utterly alive.
I think I'm just going to sit here for a minute. Thank you for this.
It's a pleasure to sit with you.